Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Hawkeye trade paperback, the Saga of Barton and Bishop. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent, and today we're going to be doing an overview of this Hawkeye trade paperback. Now, yes, this is the Matt Fraction, David Aja series, 1 through 22. But it's called the Saga of Barton and Bishop. I don't know why, but basically this collects all, I think there were 4 or 5 trade paperbacks that were originally collected of this series. It collects issues 1 through 22 and annual number 1 and Young Avengers Presents number 6. So, there you go. Lots of gorgeous art in here. If you just watched the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, this is the book to buy to read up on what basically that was based on. Now, before we open the book up, let me ask you to please do one thing. Please help me and subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos, all that good stuff. So, Hawkeye, the Saga of Barton and Bishop. So, what is in here? Well, a whole bunch of great comics, that is for sure. Written by Matt Fraction, basically all of it. I'm not sure if he wrote Young Avengers number 6 says, yeah, I think writer for everything, because there's no other writer on this page. It's just different artists. You have other fantastic artists in here, like Alan Davis. David Aja is the star of the show. If you watched any of the opening credit scenes, all that was based on his style, that is for sure. I think the only downside is that this is an Alex Ross cover. Nothing against Alex Ross. He's a fantastic artist, but the Hawkeye in this book looks nothing like this Hawkeye. This is the classic 60s, 70s Hawkeye from Marvel Comics. The Hawkeye in this book looks more like the guy on the inside page here. This guy right here in a t-shirt, some purple pants, and sunglasses. So first off, we got Young Avengers Presents Hawkeye. It's kind of introducing you to Kate Bishop, what her backstory was. This is drawn by Alan Davis. I think this was her kind of origin. Here's Ronan. So at the time, Ronan was Clint Barton running around as this character, and Kate Bishop was first introduced in the pages of Young Avengers. So if you haven't checked that out, go check out my video on that. But this really starts off with issue number 1 of the Hawkeye series, and this is that image that was on the inset. This is Clint Barton jumping out a window, shooting something. I'm not sure if this came out before or after the Avengers movie, so it's not really safe to say when one was published and one was, which came first, the chicken or the egg. But I want to say this series came out maybe 5 or 7 years ago. I want to call it maybe 2013 through 2014. Maybe it was earlier. I'd have to double check. But this is a fantastic series, and I can't wait to read it all together here in one big ass thick volume. I mean, look at that sucker. Basically, this is the only Hawkeye story that anybody's ever loved and ever recommended to anybody else. So if you want to know Hawkeye, just pick this one up, because this is the only, there may be other top 10 lists, but Hawkeye may be a supporting character in those stories, but this is the first time that anybody really sat up and took notice of a Hawkeye series. I will tell you that for sure. David Aja, or Aja, I don't know how you pronounce it. Well, I'm going to call him Aja. But basically, he loves to do these things of here's how you do archery. You pull up and down. You release. Here's how the fingers go. You have all these different little inset panels throughout this series. Kate's expressions as she's watching Hawkeye do some artwork here. But it's very deceptively simple, this artwork. But it is, I tell you, it is incredibly complex, because David Aja is just incredibly superior to a lot of artists out there. The simplicity of the things he does here, the panel layouts, the storytelling, all that is phenomenal. And if you have not read a Matt Fraction comic, I love Matt Fraction. He is just so smart in the way that he does things. He does sometimes this like ratter, I want to call it like ratter patter or titter tatter or something, like back and forth kind of, I guess you might call it Bendis style dialogue, but he's very good at humor and very good at pacing and like just the way that everything's laid out. Like there's a lot of panels per page in this book. It's not just your simple like, 6-panel page or 9-panel grid. There's nothing against that, but they're using these panels to tell the story. Here you got boomerang arrow. So she fires an arrow. What is she doing? And then it comes back after, and you realize what this arrow is, and then bam, next thing, this guy's getting hit. So I haven't read this whole thing in a long, long time, but I do know, like just like the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, this does feature what they call the tracksuit mafia, and it's all these guys saying bro, 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 bro. I think it was used a lot better in this series than it was in the show. I mean, this series really plays up these tracksuit mafia guys for laughs when they do appear, and not necessarily like as real characters. So maybe that's what I prefer, is I prefer them as a punchline as opposed to the real characters they try to flesh out in the series. That could be me, but man, I can't wait to read this. There's also great art in here. Here we're switching over to Javier Pulido, who's another fantastic artist. He'd done some work on Spider-Man around the same time, and during the One More Day or Brand New Day era. You got Madame Mask making an appearance here, and Shield, and just lots of crazy superhero antics. Like, you'll start out this book thinking it's a grounded approach. You're fighting the tracksuit mafia, and then you get into this storyline with Madame Mask and Shield and hovercrafts and all that stuff. And then you go back to, I don't think this is David Aja, this might be somebody else, but it's a very nice presentation of the book. It's on this nice glossy paper, so you're going to get the best colors ever pretty much throughout this entire thing. It's a pretty special book, I believe. Here's a Christmas issue, number 6. Here, David Aja returning. So you can kind of tell when one artist comes, and like there's lots of negative space in these panels that David Aja uses, as opposed to Javier Pulido, who pretty much uses the entire page in kind of like a regular, almost grid pattern. Just different styles of artwork, but I really gotta say, this is the first time I sat up and took notice of David Aja and how like he is using the negative space to like focus you in on what's going on here on these two panels. So really like that. Probably the number one issue in here is the Pizza Dog issue, and if I can find that, I think it's number 11. Let's see if I can. There's 7. Why did we go to 16? I don't know if these got to be in order, right? Number 17. We jumped from 7 to 17. That's kind of weird. I wonder if anybody's caught that before. Here's number 8. So yeah, I don't know why it's out of order. 9. Why it went from 7 to 17. Maybe I wonder if that's a misprint or not. But this is Francesco Francavilla. He's currently doing some stuff on the Joker book with James Tynion IV. You have probably seen his stuff in the Black Mirror trade paperback from Batman with Scott Snyder. He's currently doing stuff with Scott Snyder on Night of the Ghoul on Comixology, which is a fantastic book. If you have not read that, please go check it out. Here we go. Number 11. This is the Pizza Dog issue, and this was so much fun to read the first time and not really know what you're reading and getting into, because it pretty much takes place entirely from the dog's point of view. This is Lucky the Pizza Dog, and boy oh boy was his part in the Hawkeye series a letdown compared to what this issue brought you. It's kind of cool the way it does it. It's like, here's all the different things going on. So here's the things that the dog represents and associates with Kate Bishop or with Hawkeye. What she smells like, flowers, martinis, lipstick, I don't know, love. This, she really loves him. This guy has a thing on his chest. He smells like this. He likes coffee. And just goes through and the day of this dog. And really, this is so smart from Matt Fraction's point of view, and David Aja just figuring out a way to illustrate all the different senses and what the dog's smelling as he passes different doors and what he associates them with. Because the dog can't talk, but you can kind of get the feeling of what the dog's going through from the ingenious way that they laid out all these different things to go on. Like this one in particular, you see the dog sniffing, and he can smell the first thing. What is it? You go up here. What's the second thing? Over here. What's the third thing? So he's kind of like solving a mystery, and you're kind of the dog solving a mystery, and then stumbling upon the other things that are going on in the apartment building, and things like that, running up and down. I got to tell you, this issue 11 is just phenomenal. Here's more Francesco Francavilla. There's just tons of great art in here, not just from David Aja, but Javier Pulido, Francesco Francavilla, and they all kind of have this like what was the indie style at the time. I think when this book originally came out, this kind of accepted kind of indie style. The color palette's all kind of the same. It all kind of goes together. And I think this book, for a little while, does branch off and tell just like a Kate story once in a while. So it's not incorrect to say that this book is properly titled The Saga of Barton and Bishop, because it's about Clint Barton and Kate Bishop, because you kind of veer from one Hawkeye to another during this book. But boy, oh boy, I can't wait to reread this. This is just some phenomenal stuff. I do remember, I feel like there was a storyline with her and Madame Mask. Maybe that's what we're coming up on here. I don't think this is Javier Pulido. I think this is someone else. Maybe Joel Jones? I could be wrong. But we will have to check in the front. But all the kind of art really, I don't know if it blends together with David Aja's main style, but it does blend together with Javier Pulido and Francesco Francavilla. So it's kind of like the secondary artists all have a consistent style. And then you get back to our superstar artist here with David Aja, or Aja, whatever his proper pronunciation is. I'm sorry. But yeah, here's another thing here. So all the covers are in the chapter, so you know where the chapter is. You know what the cover looks like. That's pretty cool. See if we can get to that annual back here. Maybe it's hidden somewhere. Here's some backups, some sketchbooks, some cover designs. And there's a Adi Granov. He's a fantastic artist. Doesn't do any, ever since Extremis and the Iron Man thing with Jon Favreau that only had 2 issues, I don't think he's done any sequentials. He's basically a cover poster artist now. Phenomenal. But man, just not growing in that way when you don't use that muscle. So here's some scripts and some pages. You can see like the layouts versus the final page. All that stuff is cool. Oh boy, here's the color without the lines. So you can kind of see like what the color palette was when you put it all together from page to page on like one big sheet. That's pretty cool. So just some phenomenal work being done here by everybody. Here's an issue playlist. So if you want to listen to a song while reading an issue, you can do that. Although I will say, like, these playlists, there's 8 songs per issue here. And while that is cool, and that's definitely a good, cool way to find some new music, like, I don't think you're going to go through all 8 of these songs in the time it takes you to read one issue. You could put a playlist together and read these and maybe read the whole trade paperback. That would be a cool experience. But you'd have to read really slowly to go through 8 songs in one issue. But man, this is a really cool book. To have this entire run in just one book in a nice package, glossy paper, really got to commend Marvel. This runs you $45 almost. But for 22 issues, a little bit plus with this annual and the Young Avengers Presents in the front here, I got to say, that is an incredible value, especially for the quality of the story and the storytelling you're getting here. Don't get me wrong, it's not a giant murder mystery, it's not Watchmen, it's not one long story, but it is a bunch of little fun stories all told together, told really well, illustrated really well, and that is the reason you should definitely pick this up. I pretty much guarantee anybody who picks this up probably will like it, because it is just about having fun with comics, as opposed to like telling some dour story or deconstructing something or just dragging a story along. There's a lot of different pacing here with like short stories, long stories, all that sorts of stuff can be found in this trade paperback. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. This is one of my highest recommendations, and I cannot wait to reread this. I have not read this in a long time, but I do remember how much fun this series was. So 2 thumbs up for me. Highest recommendation from BK's Bullets. Hawkeye, the Saga of Barton and Bishop. Go pick it up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.